Snow fell, softly, silently, blanketing the small town of Bethel, Maine. A picturesque Christmas Eve. The scent of pine and wood smoke filled the air. Laughter echoed from warmly lit homes. It was a postcard of holiday cheer, a stark contrast to the darkness lurking beneath. In the heart of Bethel stood the old church, its spire reaching for the star-dusted sky. Inside, townsfolk gathered, their voices joined in joyous hymns. But there was one carol they wouldn't sing. Silent Night was forbidden, its melody replaced with a chilling legend, a legend of a forgotten verse, a verse that spoke of shadows and sacrifice. Martha, the town librarian, clutched her worn hymnal. Her grandmother's stories of Silent Night haunted her. The carol's power felt real, dangerous. She looked around at her neighbors, their faces flushed with holiday spirit, oblivious to the darkness that clung to the familiar melody. Or were they just good at pretending? As the night deepened, the townsfolk dispersed. They carried the festive cheer with them, but beneath it, a current of unease stirred. Whispers of the forgotten verse, passed down through generations, were always louder on Christmas Eve. They wove their way through the laughter and carols, a disquieting counterpoint to the merriment. Martha sat alone in her darkened library. The only sounds were the ticking of the old clock and the wind howling outside. She opened the hymnal, her finger tracing the faded lines of Silent Night. As she hummed the tune, a cold dread settled over her. Something was wrong. The melody felt different, twisted. Drawn by an unseen force, the townspeople began to gather again. This time not in the warmth of the church, but in the snow-covered town square. They moved with a strange urgency, their faces pale, eyes vacant. The once joyful atmosphere had evaporated, replaced by an unsettling silence. The first notes of Silent Night pierced the silent night, but it wasn't the familiar melody. This version was slow, distorted, filled with an unspeakable sorrow. The townspeople began to sing, their voices a chilling chorus that echoed through the empty streets. And as they sang, the pristine snow beneath their feet began to turn crimson. Martha watched in terror as the snow turned redder, the crimson spreading like a stain. The townspeople continued to sing, their voices growing louder, their faces twisted in a grotesque parody of holiday cheer. Their shadows danced and writhed on the ground as if alive. The night was no longer silent, it was filled with the sound of their terrifying carol. The last verse, the forbidden verse. As the townspeople reached the climax of the hymn, the shadowy figure in their midst solidified. It was a being of pure darkness, its eyes burning like hot coals. The crimson snow pulsed around it, a gruesome halo. Christmas Eve in Bethel had become an unholy spectacle. The forgotten verse had returned, and with it something evil.